That's the number of outstanding Jamaicans who were honored yesterday at the annual National Honors and Awards ceremony for their contribution to nation building. Among them, our own board chairman, Faye Ellington. We salute all of you. You've done well. Welcome, it's our Tuesday edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. Coming up, providing energy for life. We explore the PetroCaribe Energy Corporation agreement. Let's start things off with a timely message.
Fever, rash, joint pain and red eyes. All common signs of the Zika virus or ZIKV. Symptoms are usually mild, lasting anywhere from a few days to a week. Jamaica has no Zika cases, but if it gets here, it would only be transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Don't give Zika a chance. Prevent the breeding of these pesky mosquitoes.
The use of oil, cooking oil, a little tip of cooking oil poured on the surface of the water suffocates the larvae and prevents them hatching out. So persons can do that.
Good day, I'm Stacey Ann Smith, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, October 20. The Health Ministry has committed additional resources as needed to deal with an infection affecting some newborns at the University Hospital of the West Indies and the Cornwall Regional Hospital. At a press briefing Tuesday morning, Portfolio Minister Dr. Fenton Ferguson said the ministry was placing renewed focus on infection control and sanitation in healthcare facilities.
In order to strengthen infection prevention and control procedures and practices, the ministry has engaged a medical microbiologist at the central level who is charged with visiting and working with other facilities to ensure that these practices are kept at a standard that is acceptable.
Minister Ferguson says routine audits will be carried out to ensure that these practices are maintained, while the microbiologist at the UWI Hospital is conducting training sessions with the health teams. Health officials, meanwhile, say the cause of the infection is no mystery and that appropriate treatment is being administered.
The organism Klebsiella features very highly. And you see the list on the left? Those are some of the organisms. Klebsiella, coagulase negative staph, Enterobacter, Serratia, Staphylococcus aureus. So is there anything we can do to actually prevent these infections? And these are some of the things that we have been paying attention to. Hand hygiene and all that goes with that. Breast milk. It is thought that babies who are fed by breast milk do better than those who are formula fed. And also to make sure that we have a clean environment.
The health minister says the ministry is getting support from its international partners who have committed technical support and any additional help necessary. The island's food import bill declined by 4.5% in 2014 when compared to the corresponding period the year before. Jamaica Agricultural Society President Senator Norman Grant says that works out to savings of $5 million. Senator Grant concludes that this means local production is up and consumers are buying more Jamaican produce.
Would like to invite all Jamaicans to be a part of our 12th anniversary celebration as we work on enhancing the Grow What We Eat, Eat What We Grow movement.
Senator Grant was speaking at the launch of the 12th annual Eat Jamaican campaign being held under the theme, Grow What We Eat, Eat What We Grow. Government has taken another step to protect the country against the threat of harmful foreign plants and animals with the launch of the Jamaica Invasive Species Database, the JISD. The database is the first comprehensive portal in Jamaica, providing information on how alien invasive species are brought into the island, where they're located, and the extent of their invasion and more. National Environment and Planning Agency Executive Anthony Mackenzie noted that along with this new database, a permit or license will now be required to import or introduce any flora or fauna into Jamaica.
The operation of a pet store facility and the operation of a zoo, we have a number of them now, will now require permits. The idea is that we want to ensure that the conditions are right to prevent the introduction of species into the wild that has those invasive characteristics.
The JISD is being implemented by the National Environment and Planning Agency. It was developed under the National Biodiversity Strategic and Action Plan project, which is funded by the United Nations Development Programme. Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller has reiterated her administration's commitment to advancing sport on the island, even as she celebrated our athletes at a reception last Friday night.
Thank you, everyone, every one of you, for demonstrating to the people of our nation the importance of willpower, tenacity, and determination.
The reception was held at Vale Royal and was in honor of Jamaica's contingent to the recent IAAF World Championships in Beijing, China. Mrs. Simpson-Miller also used the occasion to point to infrastructure upgrades and the recent launch of an athlete's insurance scheme as evidence that the government was serious about their welfare. As the island celebrated Heroes Day Monday, the Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition encouraged unity for prosperity and active participation of all Jamaicans.
Let us use diligence, personal development, education, wealth creation, and faith in God to lift ourselves to new heights of progress and achievement.
Change for the better will only happen if you participate. You owe it to our heroes, who did not fall to the view that leaving things as they are was an option.
And finally, 222 outstanding Jamaicans received national recognition at the 2015 ceremony of investiture and presentation of national honors and awards. The ceremony, held at King's House on Monday, saw Jamaicans receiving awards for contributions to national development in various disciplines. Among them, Dr. Glenford Christian, who was invested with the Order of Jamaica for invaluable contribution to the pharmaceutical industry. Ambassador Derek Heaven was also recognized for distinguished service to the public sector and sterling leadership to the sugar industry. Media professionals Faye Ellington, Gary Allen and Ralston Hyman were also presented with awards. And parliamentarians Philip Paulwell, Dr. Wickham McNeil and Fitz Jackson also received recognition for 20 years of distinguished service to Parliament. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stacey Ann Smith. Thank you for watching.
The JIS Heritage Poster Competition is here again. If you are an artistic teenager, the JIS Heritage Poster Competition is just for you. All registered secondary school students are eligible to enter. All you have to do is this: complete the entry form on the JIS website, jis.gov.jm. Then create a poster using images provided in the picture resources on the JIS website. And the topic: a moment in the life of a Jamaican national hero. Ensure that your poster is no larger than 11 inches by 17 inches and keep a copy of your poster. Posters will be judged on interpretation of the topic, originality, and presentation. Now for the submission details. Upload computer-designed posters using a cloud storage service such as Dropbox, SkyDrive, or Google Drive. Mail or drop off illustrated posters at the JIS head office or Montego Bay office. Deadline for submission is Saturday, October 31, 2015. So come on, unleash your creativity and win lots of prizes. For more information, contact the Jamaica Information Service at 926-374-026, extension 2137, 2023, or email heritageposter@jis.gov.jm.
Jamaica signs extension agreement for the development of Portland Bight area. Athletes receive warm thank you reception, and Prime Minister calls for peace and progress in Heroes Day message. With Jamaica House Weekly, I'm Simone Wolfe. Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller's engagements last week included signing an extension to the framework agreement for the development of a transshipment and logistics facility in the Portland Bight area. The initial agreement was signed in August last year with China Communication Company CCC and China Harbour Engineering Company CHEC. At last week's signing, Mrs. Simpson-Miller said that over the last year, CHEC had continued its due diligence in discussions with its prospective development partners.
It has been recognized that additional time is required to facilitate the significant data gathering and analyses required. Cabinet has approved the granting of an extension of 12 months with effect from August 1, 2015 for the process to be completed.
The Prime Minister also used the occasion to encourage greater investments on the island.
We welcome this investment, and we hope that we will get many more investments from investors, both local and overseas.
Last week also found Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller reiterating her government's full commitment to the advancement of sport on the island.
That is why we are continuing our program of sport infrastructure development.
The Prime Minister was speaking at a reception dinner for the athletes who represented the island at the IAAF World Championships in Beijing, China. At the championships held in August, Jamaica's team finished second with a medal haul of 7 gold, 2 silver and 3 bronze.
Thank you. Thank you and God bless you. Once again, you have brought joy to a nation, and we will always be grateful to you all.
The minister without portfolio responsible for sport, Natalie Nita Headley, also extended her thanks to the athletes.
I want to confirm our support and gratitude to all the team members, not just the medal winners, but we are proud of all of you.
At another sporting event, this time the Courtney Walsh Awards for Excellence, Minister Nita Headley commended the selection committee for extending the awards to student athletes.
Our history of sporting success has been predicated largely on our ability to give opportunities to our young people at the school and community levels to compete, to prepare, and to measure themselves against their peers. So this move is bound to be a positive one for this award and for our aspiring young sportsmen and sportswomen.
During last Thursday's function, 4x400-meter gold medalist Novleen Williams-Mills walked away with the Courtney Walsh Award and $500,000. This year's student-athlete awardees were Janelle Bromfield and Giovanni Garwood. They were each awarded $500,000. On Heroes Day, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller encouraged citizens to use the efforts of our exemplary Jamaicans as motivation to engage in activities that will result in peace and progress.
Let us not become distracted from the example of their ultimate sacrifice, or be diverted from the path that we too now walk towards progress. Let us use diligence, personal development, education, wealth creation, and faith in God to lift ourselves to new heights of progress and achievement.
And the Prime Minister was represented by Culture Minister Lisa Hanna at a wreath-laying ceremony on Heroes Day. The ceremony was held at the National Heroes Park. And that's how we close Jamaica House Weekly. Do join us next time for more stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Last month, Venezuelan officials came to Jamaica as we commemorated the 10th anniversary of the PetroCaribe agreement, which has benefited our energy sector greatly. Stay with us as we delve into our history pages to share with you the need for this agreement.
Seguramente, la unión es la que nos falta para completar la obra de nuestra regeneración. Mas esta unión no nos vendrá por protegidos divinos, sino por efectos sensibles y esfuerzos bien dirigidos.
Words penned by Simon Bolivar, now hailed as the liberator of Latin America in Kingston, Jamaica on September 6, 1815. This, the letter to Jamaica, was the foundation for diplomatic relations between Venezuela and Jamaica. On the pages, he advocated for the unification of the Americas. Bolivar dreamed that the canals between Panama and Guatemala would be the open pathway through which not only the Americas, but the four quarters of the globe would be able to establish commercial ties and fortify their relations. Today, Bolivar's dream has been realized. The canal is fully operational and allows for international maritime trade. In fact, several bilateral agreements have been established to fortify ties made among the countries. The PetroCaribe Energy Corporation Agreement is one such example. The PetroCaribe Energy Corporation Agreement guarantees preferential terms for the purchasing of oil from Venezuela. On July 29, 2005, His Excellency Hugo Chavez, another premier of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, affixed his signature to this document, a document which further reiterated the philosophies of the letter to Jamaica. Prior to the signing of the PetroCaribe Energy Corporation Agreement, Jamaica was in a financially tenuous situation.
Between the 1980s and 2003, oil prices were in the region of $25 to $30 US per barrel. Come 2004, a spike began in oil prices. So in 2004, we saw a movement from $25 per barrel to $40. Then it moved to $50. And finally, in August, it broke the psychological barrier of $60 per barrel.
The high oil prices were driven by low reserves within the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and the increase in demand fueled by the construction boom in China, India, and Southeast Asia.
The effects of the high oil prices was devastating to countries in the Caribbean especially. The price of electricity, the price of transportation, all were affected negatively. Energy is the thread which runs through all productive capacity, whether in goods and services. And we are looking at oil price increases which would affect the balance of trade payments. We should also remember that every barrel of crude oil or every liter of refined products such as gasoline, diesel, or cooking gas that is imported into our country is paid for by foreign exchange. With increased oil prices, we are looking at increased foreign exchange for the country to find. So there is a draw on our foreign exchange reserves. When there is this tremendous drawdown on our foreign exchange reserves, it leads to inflation, it leads to devaluation, it leads to losses in our productivity because of the cost of energy.
To give the affected countries a foothold, Hugo Chavez, after discussions with the leaders of the Dominican Republic, Cuba, and Jamaica, formulated the PetroCaribe Energy Corporation Agreement.
Ahora nosotros lo que queremos es compartir esa riqueza que nos dio la naturaleza con los pueblos de América Latina y el Caribe en primer lugar. Y es lo que estamos haciendo. Aquí estamos firmando y comprometiéndonos a suministrar el petróleo y combustible que necesitan los pueblos del Caribe para los próximos 100, 200 años.
Hugo Chavez believed that a lack of parity in existing trade agreements would result in the underdevelopment of Latin American and Caribbean countries. One of the biggest hindrances for these countries was the expenditure on an invaluable resource, oil.
It was intended to serve as a model for South-South cooperation because in addition to the excellent bilateral relations which have existed Throughout the years, under differing administrations between Venezuela and Jamaica, the idea was conceived within a wider framework. How can the developing world, by a judicious use of its resources, fuel its own growth and development and be not reliant entirely on the industrialized countries or dependent solely on the monetary resources which can flow from the international banking institutions?
Venezuela and Jamaica have had relations for some 50 years. The government of Venezuela has over the years provided very important support for the development program of Jamaica through the San Jose Accord. That has evolved to the PetroCaribe agreement, which is now in force, and it has supported the development of Jamaica tremendously.
Through the PetroCaribe Energy Corporation agreement, beneficiary countries would be able to purchase oil from Venezuela through preferential payment conditions. The agreement permits the countries to buy oil at market value, but only pay a percentage of their cost up front. The balance would be paid over 25 years at 1% interest. Beneficiary nations are allowed to purchase 185,000 barrels of oil per day on these terms.
The initial reaction to the agreement was quite favorable, quite positive. Throughout Jamaica, there was enormous excitement, I should say, about this new agreement.
The PetroCaribe agreement greatly enhanced the camaraderie between Jamaica, the Caribbean, and Latin America in general. This close relationship brought us together in terms of policies and in terms of projects that were available.
I think it has served well to strengthen our relationship, to deepen the relationship, to broaden the relationship.
The countries that are signatories to this agreement are Antigua and Barbuda, the Bahamas, Belize, Cuba, Dominica, the Dominican Republic, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, Nicaragua, Suriname, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Haiti, Honduras, and Guatemala. As it relates to Jamaica, the agreement states that the government of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela shall supply directly crude oil, refined products, and liquefied petroleum gas or its energy equivalents to the government of Jamaica in the amount of 21,000 barrels per day. Payment for the 21,000 barrels of oil include a grace period of 2 years for capital repayment, as well as an annual interest rate of 2% on the applicable volumes when the price of oil is less than US $40 per barrel. When the price exceeds US $40, the interest is reduced to 1% and the repayment period is extended from 15 to 23 years, plus a 2-year grace period for a total of 25 years.
This proposal, which became an agreement, not only addressed the issue, didn't address all of our oil needs, but it certainly relieved the pressure in terms of finding the foreign exchange up front. Now this has two benefits. One is that it reduces the amount of foreign exchange you have to find up front. Roughly speaking, you only have to find 60% of what's needed to purchase the oil in cash. The other 40% is was loaned to Jamaica at concessionary rate.
In that sense, it is different from the typical trade agreement because there is no reciprocity. It is a one-way arrangement. PetroCaribe has been, for Jamaica, a lifeline.
The revolution had begun. This was not a revolution to be won through blood and tears, but one driven by region-to-region cooperation, and which provided the beneficiaries with an opportunity to use trade of goods and services as a means of settling their debt. Jamaica took it another step forward and through the Petroleum Amendment Act of December 22, 2006, formed the PetroCaribe Development Fund, PDF.
The fund was established to receive the proceeds of the PetroCaribe agreement. And basically, with the agreement, a portion of all our expenditures on oil from Venezuela is given back to the country as a loan, in the form of a loan. And what the fund does is to manage those loan proceeds. And in managing the loan proceeds, it repays the debt to Venezuela, and it also provides loan financing for development projects to the government of Jamaica through the Ministry of Finance and the public bodies.
We wanted to establish an institution which had a structure which could be examined both by local analysts as well as by the international community, especially Venezuela, but also the multilaterals. And this was required to present audited statements each year to Parliament.
No matter how concessionary the interest rate is, what we have obtained is deferred payment, which is in fact a loan. And therefore there has to be prudent management of that fund. And one also has to make sure that the fund is invested in areas which can generate the income to provide for payment when necessary. It is with all of those considerations in mind that the Special PetroCaribe Fund was established during my administration, and we have made as great an effort as we possibly can to insulate it from being subject to what I might call budgetary raids for recurrent expenses, but to emphasize that it has to be used for capital development. And I think over the years, we can be very pleased that there has been good professional management of that fund. And unlike some other countries, we have always been able to repay the installments due on time.
The fund also operates a grant facility through which investments are made in projects and programs which benefit the most vulnerable in the society. Resources for this aspect of its operations flow from the surplus generated by its loan financing and investment activities.
Quite a positive note to end today's show. Thanks for taking the time to share with us. Please send us your comments or feedback by emailing jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. And for all things national, including up-to-date news, visit our website, jis.gov.jm. If social media is more your thing, check us out on Facebook, download our news app from the Google Play Store, or visit our YouTube channel, Watch GIS. On behalf of the hardworking production team, I'm Theodore Henry, inviting you to tune in again to another edition on this station. Goodbye.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.